Gustin Time.
Welcome, everyone, to a very special, very spooky edition of Gustin Time. I, of course, am the most terrifying man in Saguache County, James Gustin, and joining me, as always, is my beautiful and talented co-host, Shonna.
Hi.
So you may have noticed we have a little bit of a different intro for this episode. That intro was written by me, recorded, produced, everything by me except for the vocals. That is from one of our biggest fans, our biggest fan outside of the United States, Jess. So thank you very much for that.
Yes.
And what are we going to talk about for Halloween? Well, just like every other podcast, we're going to tell you some ghost stories. The difference between them and us, though, is these ghost stories are real, true, and they happen to us.
Indeed.
So, before we start, I do have a Halloween joke.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be good. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ah,
Who?
werewolves of London.
Oh my God.
You see, what happens to men of a certain age is our jokes fall off and we start getting them from Laffy Taffy rappers around this time of year. So that's where that came from. Actually, I saw that online, but I did have some Laffy Taffy earlier.
Nice.
So before we get into these ghost stories, what's your favorite thing to do at Halloween?
What's my favorite thing to do at Halloween? Eat candy.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do is boil up some Brussels sprouts, cover them in chocolate infused with beef gravy, roll them in instant coffee, wrap them in foil, and hand them out to kids.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm a bastard, and I know it. I love it.
That tops mine. I just like Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats, and those are my two favorite. And Twigs.
Well, I've actually seen you play two Halloween shows.
I was thinking of that.
That's right.
I know one. What's the second one?
So the one you're thinking of was probably the one in Denver, right? With the combustion mechanism.
Yeah.
The one before that, we didn't really know each other very well. I was a zombie, and I had your band's initials on my shirt in blood.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was like, God, I don't even know, way more than 10 years ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like,
were there bands?
Saved by Ruin, of course.
We were playing?
Yeah, you guys played in Fort Collins for a Halloween show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a long, long time ago.
I don't even remember that.
I had black hair and shit back then.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I'm old.
Me too.
Anyway, let's get into these Halloween stories.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So, I decided I have 4, and I decided to start with like the most, the least weird, and then progress on to the most weird. So the first thing, I don't even really know if it's ghost, but people would probably, say that it is, which is lights going off and on, but and things move and objects moving. So like one time specifically, I remember an old dresser that had metal little handles, and they were moving by themselves.
That's
like this.
creepy.
And also the lights wasn't just like lights coming on, but for example, in my house in the mountains, the old school like night lights, and they have a
Yeah.
little switch.
Yep.
So it was turning off and on, which, that could be an electrical thing or whatever, especially in an old house. But the switch thing was actually moving too. And I could
Oh,
hear it,
that's creepy.
So my light and, mine has a little added layer to it. Because really, if it's just a light coming off and on or something moving just a little bit, I usually just don't even care. Just, blow it off as coincidence or whatever. But when I'm actually seeing a light flicker and then, you know, the actual button or whatever it is moving, and I've also had that happen with the light switch, which is the little switch. Um, where yes, the light was going on and off, but the switch was moving. And then I had one of the round ones, like a dimmer one,
Yep.
and it moved and clicked because it would click when it went off and on, and it like moved and clicked. So my little light things are not just like electrical light stuff happening, like things are also moving at the same time. And
So it was
that's
being
my
physically manipulated.
yes. So that's why it stands out to me as something like maybe a ghost or something else that's unexplainable, but
See, if that happened in my house, I would just say that my dad fucked up the wiring.
right,
But
exactly.
yeah, that's weird.
Hmm.
That's really fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Um, all right. I'll tell you one.
Yeah.
This is from a long time ago. We're talking like the 1980s. Late 1980s, my dad had built this house, and we were all sitting down eating lunch at the kitchen table. And my sister was, I don't know, 2 years old, maybe three. And she looked up and all of the color drained out of her face. And she said, "Daddy, there's a man standing in the hallway." And my dad, being weird, like my dad was, that's where I get it from. He asked my sister to describe this man. She said he was really tall. He was a big guy. He had curly hair, and he was smiling and waving, but he didn't have any fingers on his left hand. And my dad started freaking out a little bit, and he ran upstairs and he came back down with this photo, and he showed it to my sister, and he said, "Is this the man that's in the hallway?" And she said, "Yeah, Daddy, that's him."
Oh,
Well, it was my dad's friend Phil, who had
oh,
been murdered over a gold mine in the hills behind my house. It's my dad's
wow.
best friend. And here's where it gets really creepy. When Phil was killed, he was left-handed. And when the guy went to shoot him with a shotgun, Phil had grabbed the barrel of the shotgun to move it away, and the guy blew the fingers off of his left hand.
Wow.
So she saw a full body apparition when she was like 3 years old.
Wow.
So that one, that stuck with my family for 40 years. We still talk about it. So
Wow.
that was pretty creepy. And that's
Yeah.
actually the first introduction I ever had to the weird. I think I was
Nice.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was creepy.
Cool.
I don't know how cool it is. My sister saw a dead dude, but
I
it's
bet
it's a
that was
cool.
I bet that was terrifying for her.
She didn't seem to be bothered by it
Wow.
really at all. She wasn't crying or anything.
That's good.
But I mean, she didn't know what a ghost was at that
Right.
age.
Right.
So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, that was a cool one.
Yeah.
Which it's weird. I have so many ghost stories, and I'm not even that big of a ghost dude. Like I'm on the UFO side of things, but I started thinking about it when you said let's tell ghost stories. I'm like, shit, I got a lot of ghost stories for a guy who doesn't really give a shit about ghosts.
Nice. Ghosts are my thing. That's what started me on this weird path. All right. My next one is And I do want to say, like, I have never been able to see like apparitions or like shadow people. And I have actually been around other people who are actively seeing them. And I have never, so that ability I do not have. But I have been around other people who have seen them. Um, so my next one, I was at a friend's house, middle of the day, just hanging out. I think she had recently moved to a new place, so there wasn't much furniture or anything quite yet. But we were sitting on her couch, and there was a coffee table, and sitting on the coffee table was one of those candles in a glass. I don't know if there's a name for that, but they're pretty hefty,
Yep.
and heavy. It wasn't lit or anything, but it was just sitting on the coffee table, and we're just chatting and stuff. And it flew halfway across the room. And I mean, it didn't just fall off, it like flew. And unfortunately, her brother had recently passed away in a pretty traumatic manner. And so she was like, "Oh, that's just my brother," like all after he passed away, like all kinds of weird things happened to her. But that was the one thing that I got to witness. Oh, I also witnessed after he passed away, her radio, the old radios with the dial, it
Yep.
just started changing itself. So that happened, and then her candle, and these were different days. But after he passed away, those two things happened. And, I always wondered to myself, like, is it really the dead person energy and spirits like trying to say hello or whatever? Or is it us because we're so traumatized that our psychic energy is just doing weird stuff, like, I mean, I believe it's the person, but I was taught to be, you know, objective and look at all the possibilities. But that was pretty crazy because that was a pretty heavy object to fly
Wow.
across the room that far. Probably went
Right.
about 7 feet, 6, 7 feet across
Yeah,
the
that's not a breeze blowing through.
room. No.
It's funny that we think about ghosts and everybody knows about the SB7 spirit box. That's the thing you see on all the TV shows. The origination of the SB7 actually started here in Colorado with a man named Frank Sumption, and they were called Frank's boxes. And the thing that's different about Frank's box is he had a small, cheap condenser microphone inside of his radio that was doing the sweep function. And there's a theory going around that everyone says ghosts use energy to communicate.
Right.
But I don't think that you need more. I think you need less energy because it's easier to manipulate a smaller, weaker magnetic field, electromagnetic field, than a larger one because it's just so crazy. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Frank's box being used, but it's a lot creepier than an SB7 spirit box. I mean, it's cool as hell. I'm actually going to try and build something that resembles a Frank's box because that's just what I do. I'm a middle-aged man with a shop. So, I mean,
Nice.
I made a sword. In fact, I made a spoon and I have it right here. I made this spoon out of a
Nice.
tree limb that was in my front yard. That's what happens when you hit middle age. You start learning everything you can about World War II and you start building shit in your shop.
I mean, it's kind of useful, I suppose.
It's not like I didn't have a spoon though.
Right, but
I didn't have a sword before, but now I have a fucking sword.
well, there you go.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. My second ghost story actually happened not too far from this house where the first one happened was. My dad's friend lived down the road. Neighbors just become friends out here because there's literally no one here. So we're all hanging out at Dwayne's house. And this house has been sitting in the same spot for, I don't know, probably like 100 years. It's an old, old house. And we're all just, hanging out. It's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Everybody's in the kitchen. We're all just sitting at the table, just talking. And we start to hear footsteps coming down the stairs. Problem with that is there's nobody upstairs. Everybody in the house is in the same room. So we all go running into the living room where the stairs are, and you can actually see the stairs bending a little bit, and you can definitely hear someone's coming down the stairs, but there's no one there. So that was I was probably 7 at that time. That was right before I saw my first UFO. So from a kid, I started seeing weird shit and I started getting into it. And that's how I ended up here.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty young. Like my stuff didn't start happening. I mean, I'm still really young, but I was like 12 when
Right.
it started happening. All right. Now I get into weird ones.
All right. Weird one.
So this one is a little bit like I feel like I kind of witnessed a mini possession or something. So I was with another person and it, we were sleeping and I felt really uneasy, to be honest, the whole night for whatever reason. But all of a sudden, the person that I'm with freaks out and starts thrashing around like they're having a nightmare or what is that, sleep paralysis or something like that, because
Yep.
they weren't consciously able to talk to me.
Right.
But they were like interacting with something. And eventually, like this was going on, they're like thrashing around. They can't hear me or see me really or anything. And then started speaking in tongues.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
So, and like I can't even reproduce that. It sounded very legit, you know what I mean?
Right.
And at that point, I was terrified. This person would not wake up. They start praying. This is not a person who would normally do that. Okay. um, and the person never really woke up and was able to talk to me until the next day when they told me that a shadow had actually jumped into them that night. And yeah, I think that they got possessed. I mean,
It
from what
sounds
I
a lot
experienced.
like old hag syndrome.
Old hag syndrome.
It's a
What?
real thing. It's a real
What?
thing. Yeah. So old hag syndrome, it gets explained away as sleep paralysis quite a bit. But usually what happens is you're laying there, you can't move, and you see like this really ugly old woman, and it climbs onto your chest
Well, yeah,
and just
yeah,
like holds you down.
yeah. That's
And
like sleep paralysis. Yeah,
yeah, well, I've had sleep paralysis a few times in my life, and let me tell you, that shit's terrifying.
yeah.
But I could tell the difference between something weird happening at night, which has happened before. It's for a different show. But I can tell the difference between sleep paralysis and something actually strange happening. There's
Mhm.
clearly a difference.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, old hag syndrome, that it reminds me of that quite a bit.
Yeah. The part that was so weird to me was the speaking in tongues. That,
Yep, that'll scare the shit out of anybody.
yeah.
I don't know what would scare me more, the speaking in tongues or the praying. It's a
Both.
toss up.
Yeah. Both. All
Yeah, yeah. All
right.
right. My next one didn't happen in Colorado. For those of you who don't know, I lived in the state of Massachusetts for about 8 years. When I first moved to Massachusetts, I lived in this little town called Ashby. And we lived in this house, old as shit. they had split it into a duplex. So we had upstairs neighbors. We were on the bottom floor. There's a witness for this. It all happened. It happened multiple times. Sometimes when we would leave, we had to go grocery shopping or I had to go to work or whatever, we would come back and in the office, this heavy wooden chair would be tipped backwards and balancing on its back legs.
Ooh.
And if you've ever tried to do that, it takes a lot of skill to do that. But there was no one in the house
Oh,
except
wow.
for the dog. And I guarantee you, this fat, lazy old pit bull did not move the chair.
Right.
She would move blankets and everything, but this chair, it was always this one chair that would balance on its back legs. And it was so creepy. We could never figure out how it did it. And every time that I set up my camera to try and catch it happening, it would never happen.
Yeah.
They're too smart for that.
Right.
And so that happened, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times in the span of 6 months. It was
Wow.
getting really creepy, and I got fed up with it. And I just said, all right, we have to coexist. You got to stop scaring my girlfriend, stop fucking with the chair. And it all ended. So
Wow.
apparently we had a reasonable ghost.
Wow. I didn't know you had so many of these stories.
Yeah.
Okay. My last one I'm keeping for the grand finale, but I won't go into yeah, I won't go into it a lot because I'm sure we'll have another episode where we go into it in way more
Oh, there's
detail.
going to be a whole episode on this one. I already know.
Yeah. So the last one was definitely what they would call like an intelligent haunting or like an interactive intelligent haunting. Uh, and this went on for months, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but it was absolutely interacting with something extremely intelligent, honestly. Um, and I want to say it was probably demonic simply because it was very manipulative, um, and a lot of negative things were happening too, even though it pretended like it wasn't what was causing the negative things without going into too much detail. And this absolutely was through electronics because it utilized the telephone to communicate with us at various levels throughout the time. And it also, whatever it was, started out pretty weak and got stronger the longer that we interacted with it, to the point where it got pretty scary. And we were lucky to find somebody to help us at that point. Um, and getting rid of it was not an easy task either. And I would say I want to just point out a couple things that make it because the whole time you could be like somebody tapped into the phone or whatever. Somebody found some unique crazy way to fuck with people and we don't know how they're doing it, but it's just another human. But there's a couple things that I want to point out that would make that not really possible. And that is, again, something moving. So I had one of those old telephones, landline that plugged in and had the little hang up button that you picked up the receiver. And then on the bottom part, there was the little button that would hang up the call or whatever. And so we could communicate with this being, and it was not just me. There was other people involved, and it told me to go down into my basement, and then it would be down there. So I went down into my basement like a dumbass and pick up the phone that was down there because I had a phone upstairs and downstairs, and I have the receiver in this part or whatever it is, the hand, whatever. I don't know what the parts of those old phones were called, but the other part was, probably about 3 feet away from me. And I could hear like the phone was trying to hang up on the line because my friend was also on the line too. And this spirit's, communicating, saying that he's there. And I can hear the phone receiver thingy banging around and moving as I'm hearing it over the phone, like trying to cut out. I was scared stiff or scared, like I couldn't move. But I finally had the courage to look over and look at it, and then I could again see it moving. And then I'm like, there's something right next to me moving this thing. Also, he told me to come down here, and now this is happening. And I wanted to just run up the stairs, but I was so scared I couldn't move. So that was one thing. And another thing that this entity did on a pretty regular basis was predict the future, but not like telling the future, but it was through music. So me and my friends would always like have usually have the radio on or whatever. This was a long time ago and I was very young. Um, and he was able to tell us the name of the song before it would play on the radio. And at first I didn't get it. He would just be like, "Hell's bells." And it was always something demonic or you know what I mean? So he was like, "Hell's bells." And I was like, what the fuck? And finally I figured it out. I'm like, dude, it's playing on the fucking radio now. Like that was the next song that played. And he did that a couple times. So how a human could do that and make the phone stuff move and among many, many other, that's just scratching the surface. So that's my like ultimate crazy, intelligent, haunting thing that lasted like months. And I will share much more about that, theories about what that was and stuff. But I don't feel afraid anymore. But in the past, even talking about it sometimes would spook me out. But it doesn't anymore. But yeah, that's mine. That's my grand finale.
Well, damn. I don't think I can top that.
No, probably not.
No. So it seems repetitive in ghost cases where they fuck with radios and
Yeah.
telephones. And again, that comes back to, I think they're manipulating a weak electromagnetic field.
Mm.
I don't know why it's easier to manipulate a weaker electromagnetic field. You would think the more energy, the easier it would be. But it seems to be the case that weaker signals are easierly manipulated. And I don't know why. I don't think anybody knows why. But it's fucking creepy, whatever it is. I mean, I can't wait to get into that. We're probably going to end up doing like a series on that.
Yeah.
In other news, I saw a fucking UFO tonight, which is cool. I don't know what the fuck it was. I was taking my dog out to, shit in the woods, whatever. And there was this tiny little light that just slowly was moving up. And I was like, it's probably some dickhead in an ultralight aircraft because there's a lot of those around here. But it started like blinking out and then reappearing further away. Like there's no way any aircraft could have traveled that distance in that short of time. And there was no fucking noise at all. Then I finally heard an airplane, but it was a passenger jet. And this was no passenger jet. This thing didn't have FAA lights, anything. And it's to the point now where every time I see a UFO, I'm like, shit, I should report this. Oh, wait, I'm the only one to report it to. So I guess I'm just going to report it to myself. Because there's nobody else left out here to report this shit to. The sheriff's office is tired of hearing from me.
Well, we should do another episode like this where we share UFO stories.
Yes. Both of us have quite a few of those.
Yeah. We're
I
weirdos.
think we're just about out of time for this episode
We
already.
are. It flew by.
I know every time we do an episode of Gustin Time, it flies by, but my days feel like years. So we're gonna do this again pretty regularly. I know we were away for a while, but hey, you know what? This doesn't fucking pay the bills.
That's
So
right.
like, subscribe, share, whatever. Follow us on social media, all
And
that happy
share
horseshit.
your ghost stories with us because we
Yes,
like to hear them so that we don't feel so weird and crazy.
we're weird and crazy. That's just how it is. But help us out. Make us feel like we're not stupid or insane.
Yes.
Because I have moments where I doubt that. But that's going to wrap it up for this episode. So remember, none of this makes any sense. And we will see you in time. Gustin
Just in
time, that
time.
is. Yes.
Gustin Time.